Remember fun?
Uh-oh. Mount traits. Oh, no. Alright, well, the way I've been playing this, before we get to it, I've been playing it that mount traits are not only unique, but also one per monster. I'm like, there's no way they're not going to do that. I never actually played with the rules as written version, and some sets of abilities include mount traits. Each time you take a mount trait, you can pick one mount trait, give it to an eligible hero. Hero cannot have more than one mount trait. Obviously, we knew this. And an army cannot include duplicates of the same mount trait. Oh, that's too bad. Also, this randomly stops Stormcast from being able to do that. And it stops Flesh Eater Courts from being able to do that. And I think both of them have been doing that for 2 years now. Sorry to other armies that used to be able to have fun. When ogres asked if we could have the same type of fun, they said no. And in fact, no one can have this type of fun again. Oh, okay. We accidentally ruined it for you. I'm sorry. But I figured this would happen. I was emotionally prepared for it. And it's no big deal. We have plenty of good mount traits. It's fine. Basically, hold your ground from power struggle. You're trading back and forth this potato the whole game. And everyone is just scoring max points always. As long as you're just handing it back and forth. And that is what the words mean in their defense. It doesn't say continuously, it says consecutively. And so, in their defense, they're sticking to their guns. That's what the words used to say, and they confirm that that's what the words still mean. It just seemed weird from a gameplay standpoint. And we were thinking that maybe they meant continuously. They did not mean continuously. So, kind of weird. But they ignore what words mean all the time? Yes, they arbitrarily ignore what words mean all the time, but this time they decided not to. Alright. What happens if a model making a pile-in move is equally distant from 2 enemy units at the start of the move? There can only be one answer to this question. It's so easy. If it's equally distant from 2 units, you just pick one, and that's the one considered closer. Let's see if they got this slam dunk, swish, automatic hole-in-one. It must finish the pile-in move no further from each of those enemy units than it was at the start of the move.
What's wrong with you?
Nope, you got it wrong. This is the wrong answer. In section 14.3, my dude, of the core rules, ward rolls are made to negate a wound or mortal wound before it is allocated to a model. However, many units in the game, this should be read, almost every unit in the game that has this ability, have abilities that trigger when, not before, a wound or mortal wound is allocated to a friendly model. Can I use abilities that negate allocated wounds or mortal wounds after a ward roll? Once again, slam dunk, automatic hole-in-one. Impossible to screw this one up. The answer is, of course, no. Those are just the old way of writing the keyword ward. And so all you have to do is say, nope, that's just how we used to write it. Now these are all wards and they work the same. Their answer is yes. This is so bad. This is a dam bursting and just fucking shit water is blasting out of the dam and careening towards a small, peaceful village called Age of Sigmar Town. This is an awful change, and it makes the game straight up worse. This will be a nightmare to play under until they finally change it. I have no idea if the person who wrote this understood the gravity of what they decided here, or if they just typed words and assumed that everything counts as a ward now. Some older abilities give bodyguard effects, such as Guardians on the Venari Blade Lord's War Scroll, or Selfless Protectors on the Saurus Guard War Scroll, that allow damage that would be allocated to a friendly hero to be allocated to a different friendly unit. Can I use abilities like this before or after I make ward rolls for that hero? The answer is no. Oh, they closed the bodyguard loophole. Because one of my complaints was that bodyguards were way too strong in third. Here's the rub, though. The reason they were way too strong is that it was the only thing that you could still stack wards with, and that's why it was way too good. And so they closed that loophole, and then they're just like, fuck it, dude, everyone can do it, who cares? So this answer down here, to me, seems to imply that they have no idea what they did up here. I think they really intended that everything is just a ward, and that's it, and bodyguards don't stack with it. I think that's what they think they wrote. But that's not what they really wrote. I mean, if you walk past a Games Workshop store right now, you try to look in through the window, you can't, because it's floor-to-ceiling spaghetti pressed up against the window. I really think they don't realize what they wrote here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, yeah. So instead of the 3 good bodyguard units in the whole game being 2 good, in my opinion, now just everybody's fucking a clown fiesta of ward saves and invulnerability. Man, remember me talking about how bad comp was? How bad the idea of comp was? And I'm like, the only time you should really ever comp stuff is if the game is ruined by some idiotic decision that's probably an accident and you just need to, like, fix the game. This might be it. Doesn't 14.3 make all those aftersaves count as wards? Let's check, DK Ratesberg. Let's check the tapes. 14.3, my dude, you say? Some abilities allow you to roll a dice to negate a wound before it is allocated to a model. These are known as wards. If this model includes anointed, roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. Not before, but when you do. So this is not a ward. It's not a ward because you don't roll the die before. It's each time you allocate. And that's how all the old ones are written, by the way. Same thing for Frostlord on Stonehorn. Same thing for Skaven, Warp Seer or whatever. Nagash, Archaeon, everybody with a ward save. They do not have the before nomenclature. I hope it's just like a little bit of incompetence instead of they're fine with how it will be. Which would be even worse, maybe. The comment is Thursday stream, big. You are wrong, although depending on where you live in the world, you are not wrong, for today is Friday. But still good comment, and thanks for showing up, I appreciate it. This is one of the things that I think really will be comped, and it's fine that it's comped. For the following reasons. It ruins the game, and I think GW doesn't understand what they've done, and it's a mistake on like 2 levels. So here I go defending comp suddenly, alright. You think most people will read it the way GW intends? I think most people will read it the way whatever content creator they watch reads it, or links it to them on Facebook or something. Word will spread like wildfire. What is this comp? It is COMP. And it's like when you, as a player, not as a, Games Workshop dev or anything like that, you as a player are like, I'm going to try to balance Age of Sigmar using my homebrew rules. That's what comp is. It's to compensate for, in your view as the person comping, the incompetence of the people writing the patches and balance and stuff like that. But in everybody else's view, it's you house ruling the game so that you and your friends can have like powerful armies. Like there's a danger of that. There's a lot of dangers with comp. Because it's not, and it shouldn't be the player's job to like quote-unquote fix the game. Players very rarely do a great job of this. Things slip through the cracks. Sometimes they like just outright ban stuff that's not a problem because they weren't thinking like, well, they're not rules writers, right? Unfortunately with this game, the people in charge are doing such a bad job at it, your average player really can do a better job. And that's the problem with comp, is that it's tempting, but it leads to a ruinous place where this tournament has these house rules and this tournament has those house rules, and everybody on the East Coast uses these house rules. Everybody on the West Coast has those house rules. And so every place you go to has random extra bullshit that isn't the game, that are all different. And then GW looks out across all of this elephant graveyard of balance, and they're like, oh, the players are handling it. Well, players are going to deal with balance. We don't have to give a shit. We get to give even less of a shit about it, and they start to recede from giving a shit about the rules, and then the game truly starts turning into 2-week-old spaghetti. Anyway, so that's my not quite slippery slope that I'm trying to avoid. And so generally I don't like comp unless, nuclear bombs are going off or anything like that. Remember fun?